The economic crisis will lead countries coming out of the streets protesting due to high cost of living. You see, country protests. There will be high cost of living due to high oil prices. I mean fuel prices.
Now let's turn our attention to Africa. A wave of protests is spreading throughout the continent. It began in Kenya with protests against their budget, or the finance bill as they call it. Then they spread across the border to neighboring Uganda, and now Nigeria is gearing up to become the third protest hotspot.
Good morning and win today, win tomorrow and win forever in Jesus' mighty name. I am Evangelist Leah, reporting for Not Mine the Choice TV. Not Mine the Choice TV, bringing the will of God to the people, the nations, and the world at large. Yes, on the 31st of December 2023, the man of God, Prophet Paul David, he gave a prophetic message concerning the cost of living. Prophet Paul David said there would be an economic crisis and people from different countries will come out on the streets to protest. And the man of God said, people will come on the streets to protest due to the high cost of living and due to the high cost of fuel prices. Let us listen to the exact words of the man of God himself.
The economic crisis will lead countries coming out of the streets protesting due to high cost of living. I'm seeing protests. Due to what? High cost of living. Protests. You see, country protests. Okay? Let us pray. There will be high cost of living due to high oil prices. I mean fuel prices. Government should find better way to improve the production. Your fuel, you are complaining. Pray it should not go more than this in 2024.
Just as the man of God, Prophet Paul David, has prophesied, what we see happening, a widespread protest erupts as citizens of many nations flood their streets to protest, to demand action against soaring high prices. Let us look at Kenya and Nigeria. The protesters of Kenya flood their streets, demanding relief from financial hardship. Let us watch the news reports.
So it's a similar story in all these countries. Young people are fed up. They're also tech savvy, so they're using social media to come together and challenge the entrenched powers that be. The protests are also being broadcast in real time on social media on platforms like X and TikTok. The world can see live footage from the ground, footage of police brutality or military heavy-handedness whenever it occurs. The Gen Z protesters are sharing this footage, which leads to more public anger and therefore more protests. It shows what a powerful tool social media can be and how it can put governments on the back foot. But they're expressing their anger on TikTok and X, and this anger has already spread across 3 African countries. More could follow, and the reaction in Nigeria proves one thing: an angry and vocal youth is every government's worst nightmare.
Nationwide protests are taking place at the moment in Nigeria over worsening economic hardship. Let's take a look at these live pictures from Lagos. The demonstrations have been organised by young Nigerians using social media, and it's been inspired by the recent demonstrations that we've seen in Kenya. Authorities have pleaded for more time to fix the economy, which has seen the worst inflation in a generation, for the protests to be shelved over fears of violence. But activists say they will go ahead, and we can see evidence of that.
Now, Nigeria has been struggling economically. Inflation has passed 34%. The cost of food, the cost of goods, the cost of fuel has tripled over the last year, and they say it's because of government policies that were implemented over the last year, including the removal of a subsidy that was meant to keep the price of fuel low.
In Nigeria, as the cost of living and the cost of fuel prices reaches boiling point, streets become battleground for economic justice. Let us watch the news reports.
Another tense day in Nigeria as demonstrators return to the streets. police in Abuja lobbed tear gas at protesters, demanding government action to reduce the high cost of living. They're also demanding broad economic, political, and social reforms.
They have been on here. We have put our strategy in place. We are interfacing with the protesters. We are engaging them.
Despite assurances from the police, many businesses remain closed for a second day. Analysts warn that the economy, which is already fragile, could suffer long-term damage if the protests continue.
The demonstrators insist they will remain on the streets until the government hears them.
I will not expect any government that calls itself democratic to then remain adamant, despite that people have spoken and they have spoken clearly.
With 7 days of protest left, there are fears of further confrontations between demonstrators and security forces, especially in areas that have seen violence and destruction. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Lagos.
I saw my small car. They started doing business because I want to become a Nigerian, army. When I got to this area, you know what happened? After all the screening, they brought that name. They called names. All the name was nothing as. I said, what can They said, call him. Since I tried, the number could not go. They said, just hold on. That was how I came back. The situation of this country, people need to stand up and do something. We are living God. You don't know. We are living God. Nobody look at the water. Don't make a protest for the young one. No job, no good living. I can see there's nothing money for the poor people.
If I get it, our eyes on the street.
The pain of one is the pain of all. We at Not Mind the Choice TV pray about this economic crisis. We are praying for Kenya, Nigeria, and the world at large for God's intervention to see us through. I am Leah, reporting for Not Mind the Choice TV. Not Mind the Choice TV, bringing the will of God to the people, the nations, and the world at large. God bless you.